Hello GMAN 10G. Your recap of GMAN here, coming to you on the final game week of Season 10, Game Week 11. Well, we finally have it. The end of the long, grueling, but hopefully for most of you a very fun season. Our lucky few coaches who managed to make the play-ins have been confirmed. The results have all been played out. And it's time to close the book on Season 10's 10G. We'll start with the results. The Untamed Witches, the Dark Elf team, took a 3-0 win over the Khemri. Breakneck Rampage, the Necromantic team, took a 1-0 over the Dwarves. Rolling Renegades took a 2-1 victory over Death Lizzies, the Lizardman team. The other Lizardman team lost 1-0 to the Orcs. The Amazons beat the Skaven team 1-0. And Soul Guys, the Wood Elf team, with a massive 4-0 victory over the Bretonnians. There you have it. Now we should go to the leaderboard, but remember, this leaderboard isn't actually accurate. I'll be clipping on the rebel.net leaderboard at the end of the video. There won't be any sort of fancy editing this week because, one, this is the second time recording this because I got halfway through, my internet cut out, and then also I realized I had my mic muted. And also just generally I have a lot on this week, so I haven't been able to sit down and properly edit and so on. Explore what I can do with my video editing software. But the top two on this leaderboard is still accurate. The two playing coaches for our division will be O'Kim, coaching Breakneck Rampage, a Necromantic team, and Mortal, who took his Amazon team, Goals Gone Wild, to the second place spot. Commiserations to Gardon and Ambitank, the last two coaches who were in contention going into the final game week. But don't worry. Everyone who didn't get a play-in spot will still be able to enjoy the Swiss that is now being run and processed for these next 2 weeks. It was also brought to my attention we have a third playing coach in our midst, that being Hesdorn, who through his stunning successes in the ramp-up system, winning ramp-up I believe, but I might be wrong, correct me if I am, he takes his Skaven also to the play-in. So we have 3 people representing 10G in a way, sort of, in the play-in system. Everyone else, though, will be going to Swiss. Now, let me briefly explain what the Swiss is all about. The Swiss is a 2-week competition running from now until just about the end of February, wherein you'll be split into 5 divisions, 5 groups. And you'll be all split into 2 pairs, essentially. So, I believe Gardon and Ambitank, you'll be in Swiss A, and then it goes down like that. You'll be playing for just a bit of SPP, and Keeley, though, for the trophy of the pride of the let divisions. So, to briefly explain what this means, all of your scores and all of your records across the 5 Swiss divisions will all be added up into a final total tally that represents your division, 10G, and then is compared to every other let division taking part in the Swiss system. And if you all collectively have the best record, then on the rebel.net trophy case that is now being implemented for the next season, you will have a little trophy that says Pride of Let Divisions. So it's not just a bit of development, actually. Play these final 2 weeks, even if you think about scrapping the team, to make sure that 1, you get a nice shiny virtual trophy, but 2, you can show that GMAN 10G truly was the best of the rookie divisions this season. After that, we have 4 weeks of the Open Invitational. So anyone who still wants to play more Blood Bowl in the Rebel system after the Swiss system, and whilst I believe Greenhorn is going on, maybe deeping into the playoffs, but I'm not sure. This doesn't have any stakes apart from just seeing if you can get a little bit of SPP with the trade-off that you might get your team maimed. This is completely and utterly voluntary. You don't have to go forward and put your team up to that task. You can just choose to say, my team is plenty developed now, I'll wait until the new season. And of course, while the Open Invitational is going on, Greenhorn is happening, so if you're unhappy with your team, you didn't like how it developed, or say you just are sick of the race that you're playing, you can then go and re-roll. When registration is open again in the next season, you can just choose to completely register a new team. So that is the timeline. So I think we're about 6 or 7 weeks out from season 11 starting. Those who stay on will be put into a new division, one of the non-lettered ones, so 1 to 9, unless we significantly have grown, so we have an extra 12 coaches. It should just be 1 to 9. And I'm not sure the criteria 100% of what puts you into a certain division. I believe it's sort of your record combined with your TV and a few other factors, really, to create a bunch of divisions that are appropriate for every team and coach playing. So they have a competitive division going into their second season, one that matches them without really sort of making it horrendously unfair for them. It's very, 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 very unlikely, if not almost impossible, for any of you to go up to Division 1. So don't worry about that. But you aren't necessarily going in, say, Division 9. You could be finding your way to Division 8, 7, or 6. So that's basically what gets you to your division next season. It's TV, it's record, it's coaching ability. But that's the timeline for now on. Hopefully you all stay on for the big run up to season 11. Hopefully you've enjoyed Rebel and all that it's had to offer. For now, we'll just go into the teams and then we'll wrap up quickly with just some concluding thoughts. And we'll start off with the Amazon team. Now this is Mortal, who is one of the representatives for the play-ins this season. And he has a very nice team. He's got plenty of stat ups. The agility is really nice on Amazons. You're primarily a bashing team, but having the agility option is really quite nice. The extra movement as well makes one turning a little bit easier. The lack of guards a bit sad. It would be nice to have this blitzer developed. But then again, where you could have got guard in some areas, you've rolled agility. So that's fair enough. You've got some of the core utility skills on the Amazon team, which are dirty player. You have also a good bench in addition to kick. So this should be a very solid team going into season 11. Not much I can say. Obviously, Mortal is now competing for play-in spots, so can't really afford to do handoffs or anything. But if you can, get the blitzer developed. I don't know if you want to do Open Invitational. You might just say your team's good enough as is. But it might be something to think about. Otherwise, yeah, fantastic. Well done this season, mate. Next we have Alethea's Rolling Renegades, who, in terms of results, have had that up and down season. But in terms of development, you've got a bunch of blodge. Your linesmen are looking quite nice. I mean, you've got dodge, you've got the wrestle. You can't really complain. They're alive and they're not busted. You've actually got no permanent injuries apart from this one blitzer who's moved down, and that's not the end of the world, really. Fantastic Witch Elf there. And this one needs a little bit more development, and even think about, now you're in the Swiss system, just focusing on that one witch elf and improving it where you can. Just feed it touchdowns and see if you get something nice for the next season. That's my advice. Otherwise, there's not too much to say. There should be a fantastic team to play in Season 11. I hope you stick around with it, because this is where Dark Elves really gets fun. Now, the Dwarf team has had a tough few game weeks, but it's looking pretty nice. This Blitzer, when it gets stand firm, will be fantastic. The Blitzer up here, the second one, should be a killing machine. This runner's a little bit busted, but the 7 movement might be just enough to keep it on the team. Definitely get rid of the Troll Slayer if you can. Get more guard wherever you can from now on. My advice for the new Swiss, for the 2 Swiss weeks that you're playing, and maybe even the Open Invitation or whatever, just in general, replace Troll Slayer, get that one leveled up. Yeah. Otherwise, it's hard to bust up a Dwarf team. It's hard to go really wrong with a Dwarf team as well, and this team, yeah, it's coming along nicely. It's coming along nicely. I personally also might just get rid of these cheerleaders. It's 40k, but 40k does make a difference sometimes. You probably don't need it. You've got all the good blocking skills anyway, so you won't turn over a lot of the times due to that. Yeah, you don't have the best balling handling skills anyway, but you've got sure hands anyway. So I would say 3 is good. Just you don't need the 4th one on the kickoffs too much. So cut the 40k there. But that's all. Now, Amber Tank, you've had a really tough season in terms of development. When you've got a nice blitzer going, it has died. So I can understand why your 2 blitzers here are undeveloped, and this one is like the only one that has anything on it. I'm sure you already know for the Swiss system. I've told you like the last 2 weeks since starting recapping that just get these developed when you can, get developed. Now there's no play-ins. As even a sort of an outside possibility. Get those 2 leveled. Get the 4th blitzer. As soon as your blitzers have dodge, they should look. This will be a good team for the second season. It's a little bit underwhelming right now, but Bretonians can level really fast, and if these go into the second season with Blodge, then yeah, not a bad team all in all. Just maybe run these down the side, do 2 turners, with this being the insane receiver in the backfield to just get 2+ throws almost anywhere, and you'll be golden for the Swiss and for the next season. Now, this Wood Elf team impresses me. It's so intact. It's got lovely skills. This one's going to be a perfect one-turner. It needs sure feet. And hell, if it gets another move up, then it just becomes a natural one-turner. So this is exciting. Good development on the War Dancers. Need tackle somewhere, but that's fine. Grab on the tree is the right decision, I'd say. The linesmen are all really good. This one's especially. I would say maybe for the Swiss, level up the thrower to get leader, get tackle somewhere, get the second catcher as well. You can't rely on this one too much, or only on this one, because if it dies, and that's a lot of your offensive potential gone in a single piece. So get a second one, level that up, give that whatever it wants. And then this team's golden. I really don't envy anyone who has to play against you next season, because not only are you evidently a good coach, although with a rough start to the season, not only are you evidently a good coach, this team will provide so many headaches for so many people. For the Orcs, yeah, you didn't take your level up, but it's just a linesman. I guess I can't begrudge you. That should be dirty player, I think. These 2 Black Hawks are just beautifully built. Fantastic. For these 2, they need their block. But, you know, a random Kaz away, maybe a handoff in the Swiss system isn't a bad idea either. These blitzers, I really wish you'd gotten a bit more guard in these. I would think that guard blitzers are kind of a backbone to the Orc team. I mean, Elves will hate you, but other Bash teams will see the gaps that you have in your team in terms of lacking guard. If these two get, for example, put in the wrong place, you need the mobile guard somewhere. So I would say guard next skill on most of these. Build a really dedicated killer, maybe just one of them. But guard at least on Srohar and Roxig, or just two of these would be good for guard. And you've got a fantastic team. There's not too much you can say about the Orc team. It has almost everything that it wants, apart from just the block on these and the guard on these. So solid season in terms of development. Now, the Lisbon teams have kind of in this division have not really got off the ground too much. You've got a bunch of block artillery on a bunch of things, a bunch of Sauruses. You're like an MVP away on a few of them from being the guard pieces that then turn Lisbon teams into the hell nerve to play against that they are in the mid TVs. But my advice is still much the same. Think about getting rid of these two. The perms aren't good. If it was something like an Adge bust, you wouldn't care. If it was something like a move bust, you might tolerate it. But Niggles and Armored Downs jeopardize the one thing they're good at, which is getting hit and stay standing. Or getting hit, rather, and not dying. This will be fouled to death, this Niggle piece, and this one will just occasionally get randomly cased by anything, really, even non-mighty blow pieces. This team desperately needs guard. You might want to consider even the unlikely handoff to maybe the Crocs or this Saurus or something. Otherwise, yeah, it's not a bad team. It's not a bad team. I hope your season next season, if you're keeping this team, goes a little bit better for you in terms of development and injuries. I do see the potential for this team to explode in development and become just a complete nightmare to play against, so the best of luck to you. We now have the second Dark Elf team in the division, Untamed Witches. Fantastic result this week. Seems that you're really coming to your own on this. No level up on this. Makes me very unhappy, but if it's not a double, take something like Tackle, I'd say. You need Tackle desperately. But yeah, look, Witch Elf, this Witch Elf is fantastic. Yeah, so a second Tackle would be nice, just to make sure you're not always putting the 7 armor piece into potential jeopardy. This Witch Elf, if it rolls another normal, you might want to consider just trying to scrap it and restart a new one at some point, recycling. This Blitz is fantastic. The amount of Garden team is good. Let's see if this is just an MMG. Yeah, it's just MMG. This is going to be a really lovely bashing type of Dark Elves. A lot of fun. It has a lot of options. Yeah. Can't complain with that kind of development after a season. But definitely focus for the Swiss. Focus on getting the second Witch Elf at skills. Get a blodge on that Blitzer. The reason why I say more so focus on the Witch Elf is it's nice to have two very useful Witch Elves. Two of them that are kind of decked out, because if one goes, you don't want the other one to be kind of lagging behind or not being able to carry the team in the same way. Otherwise, there's nothing to complain about in terms of the build. It's really good. It's really solid. Good luck in the new season. Kim, our second playing coach, but also the first place one. Let's see. Yeah. You've got a nice sure hands ghoul. You've got block and 1 flesh golems, so that's coming along. Not too an MVP here in a round of Kazir, and it's got its guard. The werewolves are still beautiful. I can't wait for this one to get block. It's so close. It's a fantastic piece. This one's also a nightmare. You did what you needed to do against the dwarves, so congratulations as well. You're doing play-in, so I can't give you the same advice as everyone else. But guard in this white would be better than another kill skill, in my view. Obviously, get guard when you can. No, that's not easy. This will be a block unless it's another double, in which case piling on. Fantastic development again. This league has had a good amount of development. A lot of you haven't taken too bad of beating this season, and it's really showing. I would not want to have any of you in my division next season, because you'll give my underworld a complete and utter headache, I'm sure. So we have the Khemri team, and the Khemri team has been very unfortunate the last few weeks. It's taken a few knocks here and there. Still only 3 Tomb Guardians, which is sad. Yeah, it looks alright. It has nice things like the edge up. It has 3 developed Tomb Guardians, who, when they have that guard, either after the Swiss system or going into Season 2 or whatever, they should also just be fantastic. The main goal here, Jacob, is to make sure you get that next Tomb Guardian. Save up the 60k you need for another Tomb Guardian. You need all 4 strength pieces, but otherwise, it's a bit of a blow that you've lost one of them in the last 3 or 4 weeks, but hopefully you decide to keep this team. Take the time in the Swiss to really just make sure you have something operational for the new season. I would maybe recommend the Open Invitational for you above most other teams, just because I think that your team specifically has a lot more that it can gain from it than it can from not playing in it. So I think that the chances of you developing your Tomb Guardians into being real monsters and getting the money to develop another Tomb Guardian as well far outweighs the unlikely possibility that you'll lose one of these Tomb Guardians. So definitely look at the Open Invitational. That's my advice. The second Lizardman team looks a little bit better. I spy a nailed skink. Yeah. Senpai, kill that skink. Get rid of it. It's not good enough. It's quite bloaty. And now it's being hit. And even if you're not being hit by Mighty Blow, it's like you're being hit by Mighty Blow anyway. And if you get hit by Mighty Blow, that's just a 2+. So that's going to tip KOs into casualties. And it's going to tip stuns a lot of the time into KOs. So kill it. It doesn't need to exist. Recycle it. It's just 60k. What are you doing, my man? But your Sauruses are definitely looking a lot healthier than the last Lizardman team we looked at. As I think of the other Lizardman team, this is a team where either during the Swiss or the Invitational, or even in the first few games of Season 11, I can really predict lucky MVPs falling in good places and helping this team explode into its true potential. When you have the guard, this team will be done. This team will be a headache for everyone. And the block on the Croxagore as well, to give it extra reliability, means everyone is really going to hate playing you. So this is a team to keep, I'd say. You might like to do the Open Invitational, but in terms of the Swiss, my main recommendation would be have a bit of fun. See if you can do handoffs to try and get extra SPP, or maybe like Cholo, or push some of these Sauruses that aren't in MVP range into MVP range. That's my recommendation. But Keely, kill that skink. It needs to die. And finally, Hestorn, our third playoff coach or play-in coach. Let's look at his team. Wait, so no spoilers, but Hestorn actually was playing his game as I was recording this. So I have no idea what the result is, and I won't reveal because we're under embargo. But this looks like a pretty good team, pretty fun team. The one gut runner being the best thing on his team. The one gut runner being a superstar is a bit disappointing. But this one now is its third level up, so who knows? Can't wait to see how that develops. It's a bit unfortunate we're going into this knowing he's played a game, so he's now got level ups to process. But well, what can I say? This is the only time that I could really do the recap. He's got, as I've said, it's like he's in the same position as he was last week, where he's got 1 or 2 pieces that really need the SPP to turn into like their full potential. This needs 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns rather, to get the mighty blow that will make it a terror for any division. He needs to make sure all of the gut runners have something in terms of survivability. He needs them to all have blodge or wrestle dodge. He needs that gut runner to now have something like wrestle, because Dauntless' first pick was a bit of a strange one. This linesman being edge up is nice, because you're like a slower gut runner with no dodge. He can be good for just being a bit more survivable, because if someone bases him, he can get out on a 2+. But even he can also be a decent recovery option, or even a 3-strength sacker. If he rolls another double, he can pick up something like 2 heads or dodge or horns, or even just roll. If you can just keep Dauntless, you can just get Dauntless to normal if all else fails, and that can be a fantastic ball sacker. So otherwise, this team is looking pretty nice. The gut runners need a little bit more attention, and they need to be a little bit more fleshed out going into season 11. But then again, it's Skaven, so do I truly think you should play open invitational where it's very likely your team will explode? I don't know. You might want to just like take your team how it is at the end of the season, and just hope that season 1 starts off with a few high-scoring games where you put that extra bit of development on your team. For Skaven, it's a little bit dicey. But congratulations, Hestorn. Well done on ramp up. Your record here has already been pretty darn good for a coach can be completely catapulted into the division midway through the season. And evidently, your record during ramp up was also really top notch. So you're very promising, and I hope to see more of you generally during the game week to come. That is, in terms of either the play-ins or just in season 11 in general. So good luck. Well, there we have it. That was your last recap of the season. Apologies for the fact that you guys were left without a recap for so long. I hope that these have at least filled a kind of a void that you've been feeling since your recapper went AWOL. I hope that you've enjoyed the 3 weeks that I've covered, and you've gotten some out of this. You've enjoyed listening to my thoughts or seeing what the division as a whole is doing. And also, I hope you've enjoyed your Rebel experience thus far. So, as I've mentioned, I think it's about 7 weeks until we properly get into the start of Season 11. I'll be probably keeping an eye out just here and there to see where you guys end up. I'll be interested to see how you developed in the last few weeks as well. In terms of the Swiss, I might put out a video each week being like, okay, well, here's the results of the Swiss from our former 10G coaches. It might happen, it might not. It depends on my sort of schedule, but I'll try to if I can. But otherwise, that's about it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a fantastic next few weeks of just one, anticipation, and two, finishing off the last few games that you may have. So it's me, Chug Manmilk, signing off. Have a good season.